here's why things are not going to change that dramatically at Twitter, okay? Because ultimately, this motherfucker still wants to make money, okay? That's why when he came out of the gates swinging, the first thing he talked about was advertisers. He very explicitly stated that, like, you know, there is still going to be very significant boundaries to the terms of service. Why? Because all the platforms that don't have that, which, by the way, there is actually no such platform where there's no terms of service. Even 4chan Poll has a TOS, technically, no bronies, you know what I mean? And no CP. Like, every platform is going to have boundaries, and Twitter is probably going to maintain most of its boundaries. Specifically because if you don't have those boundaries, people will not stay on the platform. People will literally not stay on the platform if it's just this. No one wants to be around this, okay? This is stinky. This triggers my olfactory cues, okay, over the monitor. Like, I read this and I smelled how bad this post smells, okay? It's too stinky. No one wants to be around that shit. No one. That's why Parler, Gab, all these other platforms are duds. They're awful. That's why, like, Facebook might have the international marketplace, but in the United States, it's far from, I would say, one of the more important websites for media and all these, like, celebrities. It's just like, no one has a Facebook. I don't have a fucking Facebook. Do you think boundaries will be relaxed around abusive trans people, though? Twitter already wasn't handling that well, and Elon is outright transphobic. Yes, I think that they will unshackle it further, but again, it is all entirely dependent on, like, what advertisers are going to consider to be adequate. And the reality is Elon Musk is already aware of this aware of that, and that's precisely why the first thing he did was to tell the advertisers, like, trust me, the platform is still going to have, like, diverse viewpoints and shit like that. I mean, this is something he tweeted afterwards, but this was the first thing he tweeted as soon as he took over the helm. Wait, where'd it go? Did he delete the letter? Yeah, here. Bro, look at this. Look. He entered the headquarters, and then the next day, the first thing he posted is this. And I read this last night, and basically the short and sweet of it is like, oh, I want it to be a digital town square. I don't want extreme leftist ideas, and I don't want extreme right-wing ideas, okay? There's a dumbass who constantly tweets lies on purpose to test free speech. The letter is good? No, it's not good. What do you mean, dude? Look. If you can't comprehend how the system is when, like, one singular individual can, like, take over what everyone kind of considers to be, like, the town square and just change it in dramatic ways in whichever way he wants to, like, and you don't recognize that that's kind of fucked up. I don't know what to tell you. It's just wild. Also, if you don't want to understand how dangerous it is to equate, I want to kill all ethnic, religious, and sexual minorities, Nazis, to I want to stop these people and build a better world, Marxists, and there is no hope. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. There is no hope, because that centrist attitude is unironically weaponized by right-wingers regularly. It has a built-in center-right disposition, center-right to far-right disposition, and it is very effective. A lot of people agree with that. Where are you going to find a better centralized news outlet? Yeah, I mean, there is plenty of benefits to Twitter, too, on top of everything else. It's what I primarily use to source breaking news coverage from, my journalist friends, is where I communicate with them too. Like, it is a powerful platform for many different reasons.
One of the nation's most politically influential social media platforms, now under new ownership, could have big implications for our democracy. According to multiple reports, Elon Musk is now...
Liberals are going to hate this, especially because, like, Elon was, like, posting about Russia shit too. You know what I mean? Like, they are going to be especially libbed up to be like, oh, man, Elon, like, this is a national security concern.
Officially in charge of Twitter after a multi-billion-dollar deal that he actually tried to back out of at one point. There are also reports that he's already fired the CEO and other top executives.
And the question this morning, how will Musk balance out freedom of speech while at the same time discouraging and reining in misinformation?
Free speech as a concept is so funny. Okay, no one believes it. Absolutely no one actually believes it. Everyone misunderstands it. And to say that like free speech is supposed to be objective and free is also hilarious because it's directly guided by whatever, it's directly motivated by whatever the Overton window looks like, okay? Free speech in a country like the United States of America oftentimes simply just means, you know, if you're a whistleblower, you're going to jail. If you're truly speaking out against power and the preconceived hierarchy, the hierarchical powers, you're going to jail or you're going to be hurt. The cops are going to beat the shit out of you, okay? If you're a Black Lives Matter protester, cops are going to beat the shit out of you. Free speech also means you just can say hate speech. That's it, without any sort of consequences. That's usually what free speech is about. Let's be real. 90% of the discourse revolves around that, and only 10% of the discourse unironically revolves around people who are actually very exhibiting bravery and putting their lives on the line to let people know about injustices that are happening. It's just such a dumb conversation to have, and it was one that was it's one that we basically buried into the ground after having it 1 million plus times over during the Gamergate era. That's it. For a lot of people like Elon Musk, even free speech is just like being transphobic. Okay, can I not be transphobic? Like what the without getting punished by the terms of service? That's what free speech is. That's the most significant part of free speech. Okay. How transphobic can I be without getting banned? It's never about like, it's never about, you know, it's about defending people that are engaging in like ridiculous hate campaigns towards like children's hospitals. You know what I mean? It's about like libs of TikTok and Matt Walsh and others like that who are engaging in mass harassment campaigns without getting banned or without suffering any kind of repercussion whatsoever. That's what free speech is about. It's defended on those boundaries. But I've had this conversation 1 million times over, and not only that, but I've also been banned more times than your favorite racist content creator. So, you know, I get it. I catch strays regularly, but ultimately I still defend Twitch's, for example, terms of service, which I think are vague and really shitty from time to time, but is still good to have. It's good for advertisers, but it's also good in general for platform safety. When your platform is not slur central, white supremacy central, advertisers are more likely to give you better ad campaigns and higher CPMs, which end up like there's a pro-capitalist argument for terms of service, okay? Just like there is a pro be a good person and have a moral compass argument for it, there is a pro-capitalist argument for terms of service and applying it as well. I'm hitting it from both angles, which is part of the reason why I think Elon Musk is going to maybe unshackle certain parts of the restrictions, but will maintain most of it. If your entire political movement revolves around being able to say that like trans people deserve to die or whatever, then yeah, I don't think you should be on the platform. I don't think you should be on any platform. And I don't care if platforms ban you. I think that's apt. That's adequate. That's a good thing overall because you're a piece of shit. But also, there is the other side of this where it's like, yeah, does it get abused? Do the restrictions on free speech get abused? All the time. Nazis love using the German hate crime and hate speech laws against whoever they perceive to be anti-Nazi. It's like their favorite thing. Groiped up shouties, okay, that sit in forums all over the internet and sit in Discord servers, love doing mass targeting and mass. They love engaging in campaigns where they're just like mass reporting, and they try to use that to their advantage. And if you are a large enough content creator like myself, you can, after many, many years of dealing with it, try to educate platforms on how to deal with that and recognize when it's happening. But if you're a smaller content creator, the platform might not actually look at you in the same way. And the people that mass boycott and mass report the most are conservatives, 100%. Deplatforming does work. If it didn't work, the right wouldn't constantly cry about it, okay? It does. It works. It 100% works. That's the truth. It's much better to like filter and stop the further spread of hate and normalization of hate, especially in a hateful society, than to try and like individually go to every single person and try to reason with them. As someone that has reasoned with a lot of these people, I often think that people in the margins are much easier to change the minds of, and not through debate, but through doing exactly what I do. That's why this community is full of people that may have even had hateful ideas. I have had bigoted opinions prominently. I have changed my mind as well, and others can too. But when you talk about like, you know, right-wing content creators and whatever who are making money off of spreading those sorts of ideas, that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna, you know, that's their bread and butter. Like, they're not gonna change their minds. Doesn't deplatforming from main platforms push people to more extreme echo chambers like Rumble, Truth Social, etc.? That's my only gripe with it. Brother, it doesn't matter. You have dampened, you have softened the blow, you've limited the impact at that point. That's why I don't deal with like neo-Nazis unless they're at a point where like they are genuinely reaching mainstream status. I'd rather have them radicalize each other in a dark corner than radicalize a significantly larger proportion of the population. Those people are contact poison. The more people they come into contact with, the more people they brain poison. Yeah. It's infinitely better to make sure that those people are not trying to actively radicalize other people. You're basically admitting that reality. You're admitting that like no matter what happens, they're going to be like radicalizing each other. So I'd rather limit that. I'd rather soften the blow, limit the impact as best as you can. America has one of the most expansive and one of the broadest coverage for First Amendment, for free speech. Other countries do not have that. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to have some limits, some further limits on the First Amendment. Cancel culture in the way that people understand it is not a real concept, okay? Cancel culture is real if you're a Joe Schmo, okay? If you're an everyday schmuck, if you're an average daily worker, you get canceled for wearing the wrong thing. You get canceled if your manager is not even feeling you like that. You know what I mean? You get canceled for not reciprocating sexual advances from a higher up. You lose your job for nothing like that. But the way we understand cancel culture is like famous people getting yelled at for saying dumb shit, or sometimes people misunderstanding what they're even saying, okay? And ultimately, that never works unless your side is saying, yeah, that was a bridge too far and we're not going to support you anymore. That's it. That's the only time. That's the only time cancel culture is ever discussed, and it doesn't even have that real staying power. Like Kanye West is a great example. Kanye West is still not quote unquote canceled. He still has a platform. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with it, right? And he's still choosing to be deeply anti-Semitic. Now listen, he's lost a bunch of his jobs. He's lost a bunch of his brand deals. He's lost a bunch of that shit. But the reality is, you would have lost everything significantly before Kanye West got to the point that he was at. Okay? You, as an everyday Joe Schmo, imagine going into Chili's and you're a waiter there and you literally deliver, $5 jalapeno poppers and you say, man, how about them Jews, am I right? You say that shit, you're done. That's it. That's the last shift you've ever taken. You're blacklisted from working at a Chili's establishment ever again. The f*** do you mean? Kanye West was able to do that for months. For years, apparently, behind closed doors to other people that he was working with, okay? And then for months, prominently. That's insane, dude. The way that we deal with like famous people, celebrities, the mega wealthy, the mega powerful is crazy. And I even consider myself to be a part of that as well. I have a lot of leeway with what I get to say. I'm an entertainer.